orders.
Each day, thousands of pilots take off on cross-country flights. Unlike their commercial counterparts, most private pilots are on their own when it comes to planning their route, filing their flight plan, and dealing with weather conditions. And that's where Flight Services comes in to help the private pilot. Across North America, Flight Services assists pilots with filing and closing their flight plans and providing detailed weather information specialized for aviation. In Canada, flight services are provided by NAV Canada. Jan Gortzak is a flight service specialist at the London Flight Information Centre. As a flight service specialist, Jan has to be part pilot, part air traffic controller, and part meteorologist.
Well, pilots for flying need a lot more information than the general public would require on a day-to-day basis. We're interested in things such as not just if it's going to be windy, but what directions the wind is going to be, not only whether it's sunny or cloudy, but where those clouds are located, how high they are, how thick they are, what kind of clouds they are, because it has an effect on performance of the aircraft and whether or not they can even fly.
The biggest reason weather is so important to pilots is that when and where a pilot can fly is entirely dependent on the weather conditions they're rated to fly in. If a pilot is only rated for visual flight rules, they're not going to be able to fly in weather conditions with very low visibility.
Well, visibility is generally done by looking outside and seeing how far we can see. When we do the weather reporting at the station, we have certain landmarks that are known distances away from where we are, and the farthest landmark that we can see would be an indication of what our maximum visibility is.
While measuring visibility may be decidedly low-tech, to measure the ceiling, Flight Services can use lasers.
We have a laser ceilometer, or it's a laser that we have on the ground that points up and measures the distance to the base of the cloud or any layers that it can pick up. And we have a computer display that gives us that information. We also have the ability to use weather balloons, where we inflate a balloon to a specified size, and it will rise at a certain rate given that size, and from that timing we can judge how high the clouds are.
So while the collection of this information is crucial, flight service specialists are experts in interpreting weather information and then disseminating it to pilots through a variety of specialized weather reports.
A METAR is just a report of the conditions that are occurring at the top of an hour. Every hour we issue a METAR giving what the conditions are for wind, visibility, if there's any precipitation occurring, what it is, cloud heights, cloud coverage as well, how much cloud is out there, as well as the temperatures and pressures at the airport. So that is a report of what's actually occurring right now. If in between those reports conditions change, we can issue what's called a special report. If it meets certain criteria, we'll update the pilots as conditions either improving or deteriorating beyond certain kind of thresholds. For forecasts, one of the main forecasts that is used is a terminal aerodrome forecast, or a TAF, and that gives us a forecast of what's going to happen within the zone around the airport. Outside of that area, there's a graphic area forecast, or a GFA, that we use, and that gives us more generalized weather that's going to occur over a much broader area. As a matter of fact, for this area, the graphic area forecast covers all of Ontario and part of Quebec. And outside of that, there's other higher level forecasts for aircraft that are operating in more of the flight levels and that sort of thing as well. So quite a broad spectrum of products that are available to us.
Practically speaking, the weather information they receive from Flight Services helps them to file their flight plan. To actually file their flight plan, pilots are going to talk to someone like Jan.
There's really two different streams that flight plans would go through, whether you're flying by instrument flight rules or visual flight rules. With instrument flight rules, you're filing the flight plan to let the area control center know that this is where you're going to be flying, this is when you're going to be flying. It also gives them all the information that they require in the event that something unfortunate occurs. Then they have that information right on hand. With visual flight rules, the majority of it, it's like an insurance policy almost. What it is you're letting somebody know exactly what you're going to be doing, where you're going, when, what type of airplane you're flying, everything else, so that if something unfortunate happens and you don't show up at the end, Somebody has all the information, and we'll start a search for you.
So what happens if a pilot doesn't close their flight plan? Well, flight services will attempt to contact the pilot directly, either via cell phone or radio frequency.
Yankee, Golf, Juliet, Whiskey, Yankee. This is London Radio. Do you read?
If that
Over?
doesn't work, then they have to engage some more thorough methods of locating the pilot's aircraft.
If we can't get a hold of them at the half-hour mark where the alarm starts off, we would arrange for a check of the airport that was their destination. We'd actually have somebody go out on the field and visually verify whether or not the aircraft was there. Now, if the aircraft was there, all good. We find the airplane, we can close the flight plan. If the aircraft's not located, then we have to start setting up a series of searches where we will call different airport operators, police, and whatever, and search every airport within 50 miles either side and around the route of flight. Every potential landing spot on that has to be actually physically checked to see if the aircraft might have landed there. And as you can well imagine, that's quite an undertaking to do, especially the longer the flight, the more airports involved.
Thankfully, it's rare that things are escalated to this level. Flight services specialists don't control aircraft like an air traffic controller, but they're still a vital part of keeping the skies safe. Whether it's providing a weather briefing, helping a pilot plan their route, or calling in search and rescue, flight services specialists can easily save the life of a pilot and his passengers.